Kia ora, and welcome to this lesson, the Catholic Church's tradition of social justice. We have two goals for today's lesson. The first is to identify that the Church has always been committed to the welfare of its members and wider society. And second, to recognise the importance of the encyclical Rerum Novarum and the impact that this had on the development of Catholic social teaching. Christians have always recognised that the gospel requires them to work for the welfare of people in society. Following the example of Jesus, the Church, from the beginning, promoted justice. St. Paul, in his letters, reminded Christians to treat each other as brothers and sisters in Christ, regardless of their social status. The early Christian communities became well known for their social services to people in need, especially the sick, the hungry, widows, and orphans. When at times Christians failed to meet the needs of the poor, their behaviour was questioned by their leaders. You can see this in the example of James, chapter 2, verses 1 to 9. And also on the screen, we have two readings from Galatians and one from Romans. So check these out to see the perspective of the early church. This developed in the 4th century after Christianity became the official religion of the Roman Empire. The Church worked for social reform. It did this by playing a significant role in laws that protected widows, orphans, limited slavery, and it secured more humane treatment for prisoners of war and criminals. Later, during the medieval period, the monasteries, as well as providing education, established hospitals for the sick, shelter for widows and orphans, food for the poor, and hospitality to travellers. The Church continues to provide these services today. It was the response to the Industrial Revolution during the 18th century that the Church first began to develop an organised body of teachings on social justice issues. The factories established by new industries required large workforces. Workers were often poorly paid, badly treated, and forced to live and work in environments that were unsafe and unhealthy. The Church turned its attention to issues such as the right to fair wages and decent working conditions. In 1891, Pope Leo XIII issued an encyclical. This is an official letter from the Pope to Catholic followers in society. It was called Rerum Novarum, Concerning New Things, which addressed the issues facing industrial workers. Rerum Novarum emphasised the rights of the weak, the dignity of the poor, and the rights of the worker to form unions to protect their interest. Since the publication of Rerum Novarum, Concerning New Things, there has been a steady stream of statements from popes and bishops of the world that have expanded the Church's teachings on the responsibilities of being Christian. Justice is seen as much more than just being about charity and the welfare of others. The Church strongly urges all people to take the gospel seriously and to work together to get rid of the conditions that cause hunger, homelessness, and oppression. Since Rerum Novarum, there's been a strong commitment from Christians to the causes of justice and peace. These include a greater appreciation that people are made in God's image and must reflect God's aroha. Also, the increased awareness of Te Ranga Pai, the good news, required by people to build Te Rangatiratanga, God's kingdom, on earth, as well as to seek the fullness of God's life and love in heaven. Let's review our learning goals. Can you identify that the Church has always been committed to the welfare and members of society? And secondly, can you recognise the importance of the encyclical Rerum Novarum and the impact that this had on the development of Catholic social teaching?